Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own Black Belt leader within. In 1991, Robin Williams starred in a classic remake of the Peter Pan story, but brought forward into the future. The movie was Hook. Now, Robin Williams plays the role of a grown-up version of Peter Pan, called Peter Banning in the movie. Backstory, Peter had fallen in love with Wendy's granddaughter, Maura, and he'd given up eternal youth to get married and raise a family. In the movie, he's a 40-year-old mergers and acquisitions lawyer who is miserable. He is a workaholic who has no time for his wife or his two kids, Jack and Maggie. Sadly, Peter had forgotten who he was and had actually taken on many of the attributes of his nemesis, Captain Hook. But sadly, Peter is oblivious to the fact that he's forgotten who he was, and more importantly, he's unaware of the danger facing him as he's about to lose his family forever. Enter Captain Hook, who kidnaps his kids and takes them to Neverland, and Peter has to go on this journey to rediscover who he is and rediscover how he can rescue his children and be the dad he should have been all along. Now, as the movie's getting started, one of my memorable quotes from the movie is when Peter Banning makes another worthless promise to his son Jack that he stood up and lied to and broken promises time and time again. He makes a promise that he's going to be at a ball game, and he says, "Jack, my word is my bond." To which his little son Jack replies, "Yeah, junk bond." Now, I want to zero in on that phrase, "my word is my bond." And I want to spend just a few minutes there because it speaks to a very crucial character value that's essential to anyone who wants to become a black belt leader in life. But sadly, this character quality is no longer valued in society today. I believe it's a non-negotiable, and that non-negotiable is integrity. Now, if we go to the Oxford Language Dictionary, it defines integrity as, number one, the quality of being honest or having strong moral principles or moral uprightness. The second definition is the state of being whole and undivided. To me, integrity is a very simple definition. It's doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. Now, what's the origin of this phrase, "my word is my bond"? Where did it come from? If I did a little research, and here's what I found. That phrase has its origin in Old English literature. Now, Shakespeare referred to this statement, "my word is my bond," in his work, The Merchant of Venice. Now, taking central stage in this work, The Merchant of Venice, in Act 3, Scene 3, there is a character, a moneylender, whose name is Shylock, and he agrees to lend Antonio 3,000 ducats, a significant sum of money, with a verbal agreement, a bond, that if the money is not repaid within 3 months, Shylock is entitled to cut off a pound of Antonio's flesh. Again, that's where we also get that interesting quote about giving up or paying a pound of flesh or demanding a pound of flesh from someone. All of that comes from the Merchant of Venice. But interestingly enough, by 1968, this phrase had continued to expand and develop into a work that appeared in John Ray's collection of English wise sayings and short stories, a book entitled English Proverbs. And in that book, John Ray writes, "An honest man's word is as good as his bond." Now, that bond means collateral or something given in exchange for something given back. And it creates that quid pro quo of, "I'm going to give you something if you do something for me." So over the centuries, the phrase, "my word is my bond," has become synonymous with the concept of integrity. Now, when you think about integrity, what does it mean? Integrity is a promise, it's a declaration, it's an assurance that you're going to do a particular thing, or that you will do, give, arrange, or undertake something for someone. Essentially, integrity means you follow through with whatever it is you've committed to do. Again, your word is your bond. Now, when you think about integrity, what is it? It is a moral quality that demands that you be personally responsible for your actions. But sadly, in today's culture, we're witnessing a decline in morality as social norms are abandoned. Integrity appears not to matter anymore. And when there's no one standard of absolutes that governs how you and I live together in harmony, society begins to devolve into warring tribal factions. And when that happens, qualities like integrity are no longer seen as non negotiable because everybody is doing what is right in his or her own eyes. Everybody's making up their own rules and governing themselves based upon what they believe to be true rather than having any absolutes in life. People can and do violate their verbal and written commitments to another all the time in society today. It is seen as an acceptable norm. And as a result of that, society has suffered. Individuals in society suffer. You know, at a personal level, a broken promise erodes trust between two people. And trust is foundational to any healthy relationship. Now, think about it. When trust is broken, what happens? People feel hurt, people feel disappointed, people feel betrayed, and people feel abandoned. Now, when we make the case for integrity, I've got to tell you that integrity starts with you. Think about this. How are you characterized by those who know you? Are you a person who does what they say? Are you a person who is dependable or undependable? Are you accountable? Are you accountable to yourself and are you accountable to others? Can other people depend on you? Do you take ownership when you're wrong? Are you an honest, reliable person? Are you known as someone who does the right thing all the time, even when no one is looking? Does your saying and your doing align? Are they congruent? Are you someone people can trust without question? Does your word instill confidence? Does it carry weight? Now, don't forget, children learn integrity from observing mom and dad. When one spouse tells another in front of their children they're going to do something and they don't, trust is broken in the household. When a parent makes a promise to their children and they don't follow through, trust again is broken. Integrity is violated. And if this pattern of breaking trust and violating integrity continues, what happens? It becomes acceptable as the norm, and other people embrace the lie that your word doesn't matter and your word carries no weight. So, what happens when people can't rely on you to keep your word? What happens when people can't rely on you to follow through in your commitments? What does that say about you as an individual? You need to understand that you are a role model for other people, whether you realize it or not, because people are watching you every single day. And don't forget, people do what people see. What we model in front of other people is what we're asking them to also do in the way they live their lives. So, are you modeling integrity and living a life of integrity that builds trust and credibility that inspires other people to live authentic, honest, accountable lives? Or are you teaching them to live life in a way that integrity doesn't matter? A lack of integrity in the workplace is another big issue we see today. It's demonstrated in a number of ways. When people show up late for work, or they call in sick when they're not, or they take an extended lunch hour, or they do as little as possible to get by, all of those are evidences of a lack of integrity in the workplace. A lack of integrity is also manifested when employees lie, cheat, or steal from their employer. When a sales professional misrepresents their product or service to the public, that too is a violation of integrity. And it's something that harms business every single day. I was doing some research to try to identify the cost of integrity to American business today, and the number was staggering. The latest number I could find was a 2021 Vault study that found that workplace misconduct leading to a lack of integrity cost the United States economy over $8.54 billion in 2021. Now, fast forward 3 years later to 2024, that number is probably high or higher than it was now. But think about it from a societal level as well. When we as a society lack integrity, we all suffer in society as a result of that. When people can't honor their word to others, how can we build a collaborative, cooperative society that works together to solve the common problems we all face? When we can't rely on each other to work together, to follow through with our commitments, how in the world does anything ever get done that serves society well? Here's the problem. We're constantly bickering and arguing rather than coming together to solve the very real problems we face as a society, and that doesn't benefit anyone. We don't move forward if we're constantly bickering and arguing and pointing fingers at one another. When we're constantly casting blame at other people rather than looking at ourselves to see what we could be doing better and what was our part in not getting us to where we want or need to be, how does that move us forward? How do we create a positive resolution that serves the greater good when we're focusing on blaming other people rather than coming together and working together to actually get things done? Understand this, and if you get nothing else out of this lesson, get this. People of integrity focus on what unites us and look for ways to move things forward rather than seeking to divide us and keep us separate as warring parties. So, what does a life of integrity actually look like? Here are 10 questions that you can use to gauge whether or not you're a person of integrity or not. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list of questions, but it is a good starting point to let you evaluate where you are when it comes to living a life of integrity. This is an opportunity for a man in the mirror, woman in the mirror moment with yourself. Here are the 10 questions. Number 1, do you keep your word? Number 2, are you an honest person? Number 3, are you a reliable person? Number 4, are you genuine and honest in your dealings with others? Number 5, do you own your mistakes and admit when you're wrong? Number 6, are you transparent and authentic with others? Number 7, do you follow the rules? Number 8, do you value other people's time? Number 9, do you acknowledge other people's contributions? And number 10, do you do the right thing even when no one is looking? Well, now that you've done a self-assessment based upon those 10 questions, let me challenge you to take those 10 questions one step further. Give a copy of those questions to at least 5 people who know you well and ask them to answer these questions based on how they perceive you. Now, think about that. I want you to compare their answers to your own, because the difference between how you see yourself and how other people see you is your opportunity for self-improvement. Now, I'm also going to provide a link to a copy of this assessment, and you'll find that at beablackbeltleader.com under the courses section of the website. Beablackbeltleader.com, and simply go to the courses area of the website, and you'll find that download available as a free resource for you to use that with yourself and with others. So, wrapping up this case for integrity, let me leave you with this. Your word is your bond. It is the collateral that you leave with others when you make a promise or you commit to something. Now, collateral is supposed to be something of value. And the value of your collateral when it comes to your word is whether or not you keep your word, you fulfill your promise, and you do what you've committed to do. Remember, a person of integrity does the right thing even when no one is looking. And if your word is worthless, then so are you. I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.